Chapter 1. The General of Rome. In the frozen forest of Germania, the empire fought for its survival. The legions of Rome marched under the banner of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king. To the Romans, he was the last of the 5 good emperors. To history, he would be remembered as the ruler who wrote words of wisdom in the margin of war. By his side stood a cadre of generals, hardened men, who commanded loyalty not only from their soldiers, but from the emperor himself. These were the real figures who gave shape to the legend of Maximus Decimus Meridius. One was Marcus Nonius Macrinus. He rose from obscurity to become one of Marcus Aurelius's most decorated commanders, leading campaigns along the Danube frontier. For his victories, he was showered with honors, titles, and the trust of the emperor. In 2008, archaeologists discovered his monumental tomb outside Rome, calling it the Tomb of the Real Gladiator. Another was Claudius Pompeianus, a Syrian general who married Aurelius's daughter Lucilla. Though respected and loyal, he declined the throne after the emperor's death, wary of the storm that would follow. His decision to refuse power reflected the stoic values his father-in-law embodied, a virtue rare in the empire. Even the name Decimus has roots in history. It recalls Decimus Claudius Albinus, powerful general who claimed the throne in the chaos that erupted after Commodus. His rebellion marked the beginning of Rome's bloody civil wars, a time when generals, not emperors, would decide the fate of the empire. Amidst these men stood Marcus Aurelius himself, a ruler torn between philosophy and necessity. On campaign, he filled his wax tablets with stoic reflection that survive to this day. Do not waste time debating what a good man should be. Be one. It was a paradox at the heart of Rome. The emperor who preached peace, yet commanded endless war. The generals who fought for loyalty and honor, yet stood in the shadow of treachery. And from these contradictions, between the wisdom of Marcus and the ambition of his commanders, the story of Maximus was born. His fiction, yes, but a fiction stitched together from the flesh and blood of real Roman men. Chapter 2. Commodus and the Arena. When Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD, the empire passed to his son. His name was Commodus, and with him, Rome changed forever. Where Marcus had embodied philosophy, Commodus embodied vanity. He was not a soldier, though he commanded armies. He was not a thinker, though he carried the title of emperor. Commodus craved something else entirely, the adoration of the mob. In the Colosseum, before crowds of 50,000, Commodus styled himself as a gladiator. He appeared dressed as Hercules, draped in a lion's skin, wielding a wooden club. He declared himself the son of Jupiter, the savior of Rome, the very incarnation of a god. Statues across the empire were recarved with his likeness, reimagined as Hercules reborn. But the games were not contests, they were theater. Commodus faced gladiators armed with blunted weapons, or terrified civilians given swords they did not know how to use. He slaughtered wounded animals and called it heroism. For every appearance, he charged the treasury a small fortune, draining Rome's wealth to fuel his vanity. He even renamed Rome itself. The Eternal City was briefly known as Colonia Commodiana, the colony of Commodus. The months of the year were altered to carry his titles. In his delusion, the empire was no longer Rome. It was him. Like in Gladiator, Commodus's paranoia soon turned to blood. He distrusted the Senate, accusing them of plots. Noble generals were sidelined, senators were executed, and whispers of conspiracy filled the marble halls. Even his sister Lucilla, once an ally, was implicated in a failed assassination attempt. The contrast was staggering. Marcus Aurelius had written words that endure: "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Commodus lived the opposite. Revenge became his language, fear his method, blood his signature. In this way, Maximus's betrayal in Gladiator reflects a deeper truth. Under Commodus, loyalty meant nothing. Generals who had fought for decades could be erased overnight. Their names struck from memory. Their families punished for imagined treason. It was here, in the clash between Marcus's wisdom and Commodus's madness, that the legend of Maximus found its tragedy. A man loyal to Rome, yet betrayed by the emperor who called himself a god. Chapter 3. The Fall of an Emperor. By the final years of Commodus's reign, Rome was a city ruled by fear. Senators lived in terror of accusation. Generals stayed silent, their loyalty rewarded with suspicion. Even Commodus's sister Lucilla plotted against him, conspiring with senators to have him cut down in the amphitheater. The plan failed. Lucilla was exiled, her accomplices executed. Commodus's paranoia only deepened. He abandoned the governance of the empire, retreating fully into the arena. There, dressed as Hercules, he fought hundreds of staged battles. Ancient writers recorded that he killed wild animals with javelins and arrows, slaying 100 lions in a single day, not in combat, but as spectacle. He ordered the gladiators of Rome to kneel before him, proclaiming himself the Roman Hercules. But the empire could not bear the weight of his excess. In 192, after years of cruelty, Commodus prepared to appear in the arena as a gladiator on New Year's Day. That night, conspirators moved against him. The praetorian prefect arranged for poison in his food, but when Commodus vomited it out, a wrestler named Narcissus was summoned. He strangled the emperor in his bath. Commodus was 31 years old. His death hurled Rome into chaos. Within months, 5 men would claim the throne. A violent struggle known as the Year of the 5 Emperors. Civil war consumed the empire, and the stability Marcus Aurelius had tried to preserve was lost. The story of Maximus Decimus Meridius mirrors this collapse, though told through tragedy. In the film, he is betrayed, enslaved, and forced into the arena, only to rise again as a symbol of Roman virtue. In history, the generals who resisted Commodus were silenced or forgotten. But in myth, they became one man, a hero who fought not for power, but for Rome itself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Those words were never meant as prophecy, yet they became the heartbeat of Maximus's story, a fiction, yes, but one born of Rome's very real fall. Maximus Decimus Meridius never lived, and yet his legend endures, as if history itself required a hero when none could be found.